Welcome to the Archaeology Studio. Today's episode considers issues about an online classroom for archaeology. For students, educators, and working professionals, online content has become increasingly important in every field of study, including archaeology. As you might expect, some aspects of archaeology are well suited for online delivery and communications, while other aspects can be awkward. At least in this channel of the Archaeology Studio, I like to prepare online videos that anyone can use as part of a learning process. For a complete educational program, you would need to add elements for evaluating progress and for providing guidance for improvement. If you can think about the larger learning process, then you can identify the most effective use for an online video or other content. In standard teaching philosophy, the learning process starts with a foundation of information content, and then progressively more challenging tasks can be attempted. A typical schematic shows a series of building blocks assembled like a pyramid, wherein the basic information content serves as the foundation to support the next steps in the learning process. People use different words and labels, but the main idea is to start with a foundational basis in primary information and then proceed to build the skills, knowledge, and expertise that can be interpreted, applied, and adapted into diverse creative outputs. Following this schematic of building block layers in the learning process, you can consider how you would develop an online classroom for archaeology. In my experience, online video documentaries and websites can be most effective for sharing basic information content. Ideally, these resources can enhance the traditional reading lists of printed material. I should acknowledge that in fact most reading lists currently are shared in digital format, so this part of the learning process already can be performed through an online classroom. Online delivery, however, offers more options in the forms of video documentaries, interactive websites, and extensive database storage. In my opinion, learning about interpretive skills in archaeology is not much different than in any other discipline. The principles of critical thinking and logical reasoning always are essential. When I teach these lessons in archaeology, then I instruct for students to evaluate if the conclusions are supported or not by the evidence. If something about the logical argument was unconvincing, then how could it be improved? These lessons would require the students to produce written essays or video essays that could be assessed and graded. And these lessons could work just as well in an online classroom as in a conventional classroom. The application of archaeology can be difficult in a traditional classroom format, and possibly a slight advantage can be gained through an online classroom. For example, the application of archaeological knowledge into a field survey, excavation, or laboratory analysis project would require hands-on practical training in real life, outside the traditional classroom. At best, an online classroom can use video demonstrations and websites to show the practical applications in action. Possibly, some limited forms of those applications could be performed and recorded by students as a way to test their application skills, but ultimately the lessons would need to involve sustained training with supervision in person. After learning how to apply knowledge and skills in archaeology, then the next challenge involves adapting into different situations. For instance, maybe you learned how to record flaked stone fragments at a site. But now you need to adapt to record broken pottery instead of flaked stone fragments. Maybe you learned how to identify and quantify the taxa of shellfish remains in a specific region. And now you need to adapt to work with the shellfish remains in a different region. Adaptation of knowledge and skills requires time for opportunities to develop in different situations. Partially, these lessons could be achieved through recorded video demonstrations and written essays, but eventually, students would need to engage in practical application procedures outside the classroom. In my version of a schematic of the learning process, the final layer involves creativity. Here, the goal is for a student to leverage all of the other building block layers toward creating an original study in archaeology. This educational goal necessarily breaks the boundaries of any classroom. In this case, the classroom elements already have been delivered, and now the focus is on the student's own abilities. The final results, though, should be translatable into an essay, a video recording, a website, or other output. At least in my experience, an online classroom offers more options and potential advantages than otherwise would be possible in a traditional classroom. Moreover, the scheduling of the learning activities can be more realistically manageable than would occur in a traditional classroom setting, and therefore, these students tend to perform better with this scheduling flexibility. What are your thoughts about the potential strengths and weaknesses of an online classroom for archaeology? How would you maximize the strengths and improve on the weaknesses? Please remember to subscribe to this channel, share with your friends, and see new videos every month with the Archaeology Studio.